Good morning and welcome to the video for 4th grade for lesson 4.3 from Into Math. This is Mr. Parks, the math teacher at Risen Christ Lutheran School, and I will be giving you a short walkthrough of what we talked about during class today to understand how to do the homework. For this lesson, we are working with estimating, and so we are doing multiplication today. We'll do division tomorrow. Similar kind of process. We want to figure out how we can go ahead and round our larger of our two factors to give us something that's a little bit easier to work with using basic math facts. So we talked about that a little bit yesterday when we were dividing. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. So if I wanted to use a visual model, we could go ahead and say how many 100 blocks we could use. We might be able to do something slightly different. This is usually with the pictures that you see down here, something that we don't do until 5th grade, but we could do that kind of. So what we want to do is try to find a basic math fact that works. So we're not going to be able to count by sixes to get to 32, so we should probably round the number. And if we're going to round the number, I usually tell the students at this point to, unless you're told otherwise, go ahead and round it to the largest place value. So if I round to the largest place value, I am going to be rounding it to the hundreds place. The 2 would tell us whether or not we're going to round up or down. So we could represent that as 6 times 300. And we could draw 6 groups of 3 of these larger blocks to do that. How do we change the numbers to estimate? We rounded to the nearest 100. I'm not going to take the time to try to write that in. What are 2 estimates you can get when you round to the nearest 200? So this part becomes really important. So I'm going to spend a moment on that. When we're trying to find an estimate, we are going to be asking the students to figure out which 2 numbers their estimate is between sometimes, or what between which 2 numbers that we could round to is the actual answer. And so for the first one of these, if I round down, which is what I'm actually going to do if I round correctly, we could do 6 times 300. The other way is because 320 falls between 300 and 400. If we were to round up, then we would do 6 times 400. So that would give us 1800 and 2400. Now, which one is more reasonable? Well, it depends. So for this one, because we have a number that's much closer to 300, we probably should take this particular estimate here. It would be more reasonable because it's closer to the actual answer. If we're kind of close, or if we choose to round to the nearest 10 for one of them, or round to the nearest 100, if we're rounding to smaller place values, that's probably going to get us a little closer to our exact answer compared to rounding to a larger place value. But rounding to the largest place value works, and it's usually the easiest way to make sure that we're working with a basic math fact, which is why I recommend that. So we could say that about 1,800 students end up going on the roller coaster each day. How is finding an estimate different than finding an exact answer? So the estimate is different because it's not the exact answer, but it's a way to help us check and see whether our correct answer makes sense. So for instance, let's say, and I know that probably sounds a little backwards, let's say that we're working on this problem. If I make a mistake, and let's say I'm going ahead and multiplying, I get a 0 here, and then I get a 12, and let's say I make a mistake up here, and I get, well, if I forget to add this in, I would actually hit my estimate. So let's say I accidentally write my numbers backwards. So let's do this. If I do this, which happens occasionally, I'm going to accidentally write the number I should write down here for the ones place as my carry. I could see that I get 2010, which is a little bit farther from my estimate. And that could help me figure out the, hey, wait a minute, maybe I didn't do something correctly. So that would be an example where we could use the estimate to help us check our answer. Um, Sometimes we're going to be asking them to do that, especially when we're working with division. We want to make sure that the numbers that we're working with when we divide make sense. And again, tomorrow's lesson is going to be working specifically with that. So we're going to use compatible numbers and make sure that everything works out and that both things have a relationship between our estimate and our final answer when we divide it normally. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me by text or by email for my Risen Christ students and their families. Hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.